Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for you, and today, as you can probably already see and you can see from the title, it is a very exciting day. So it is the next part of my road to the Las Vegas Open 2016 and another practice game for the Dirty Tau. But you know, let's not beat about the bush. Where are we now? We are very graciously in one of the meccas of wargaming. We are at TableTop Tactics with Lawrence.
Hello.
So welcome, Lawrence, and you know, I am very excited about this game. It's going to be an absolute cheese fest. Lawrence very much shares my love of cheese, and we will see that in a minute when we go over the armies. But we are playing ITC missions, as you're probably aware by now. We are playing ITC Mission 4, which is the Scouring, not so good for me, with obviously modified Maelstrom. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge without a doubt, even if I was going against anybody, but this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle. So in a second we'll go through the armies, but stay tuned for this one, it's going to be epic. Right, okay, so let's have a look at the list. So you're probably familiar with this by now, but this is list A from my possible Las Vegas Open lists. I would say that this is probably turning into my more favourable of the two lists. I think it's got a bit more punch, but still a little bit undecided. But we'll have to see. So I have leading the force a commander. Now Lawrence has been very kind. I forgot my commander model. Big boo-boo. So I am using my little Shadow Sun model. If there is any doubt at all, it will be bigger, and we will just judge that it gets hit if it's likely to be within that sort of size. So there won't be any doubts on there. There will be no indecision. I will always give Lawrence the benefit of the doubt on that. Then I have 2 units of crew, standard, bare bones, no upgrades whatsoever. In the fast attack, I have the beloved 2 Wyvaras, both with stim injectors. Absolute, my favourite unit. Awesome, always do well. I say that's kiss of death, but they do always do well. Always very reliable. And then the familiar by now, the 2 big guys, the 2 Storm Surges. This is the 2 different options. So we've got the driver cannon and the blast cannon, both of them, one of each. So I'm starting to enjoy the D variant a little bit more. Still prefer the strength 10. Then they have, one has the air fragmentation and the other has the flamer. They both have interceptor, both have the 4-up invon, and both have precision shot. And then last but not least, I have the drone formation. I have 4 units of marker drones with all their cheesy goodness, and that is my 1850 points of cheesy Tau. So in a second I'll go over and have a look at Lawrence's Dirty Eldar. Okay guys, so this is the dirty, horrible, nasty, have I said it enough just before I get beaten by them? This is the Eldar. So Lawrence, you want to go through your list for me?
Sure mate, so over here on my left flank we have first of all it's a 3 source detachment list. So we've got 2 CADs, combined arms detachments, and 1 Crimson Death formation. So specifically in CAD 1 primary detachment, I've got my Warlords, there's a Farseer on a Skyrunner jet bike, just stock, no upgrades, and then I've got a Warlock Conclave, so that's 2 HQ choices from that CAD. Then also in that CAD I have 1, 2, 3 scat packs. They're infamous. Yeah, ridiculous. I don't know why Games Workshop allowed scatter lasers to be upgraded on every single one, but they did. And since this is the LVO, I will take advantage of that. Then I have in that same combined arms detachment, a primary one, I've got 1, 2, 3 Forge World Hornets. Nice. So for you guys that are not familiar with what they do, they're effectively an Armour 11 skimmer vehicle, fast vehicle with 2 pulse lasers, so that's 4 strength, 8 AP2 shots. They've got some cheesy additional special rules, such as being able to snap fire even after they've moved flat out. So that's very nice.
Matter of opinion there, possibly.
And then, as the Lord of War in the primary CAD, I have the big guy himself.
Hisses and boos go up in the crowd.
He is armed with a sword, Ghostglaive, and a scatter shield, so that's a 5-up invulnerable save. I also have paid for 2 star cannon upgrades as well, so some more strength 6 AP2 there. Nasty. And then in the secondary CAD, which is kind of just a token gesture, I've got 2 scat packs in the troops, and I've got a second Farseer Skyrunner, and I've got a second Warlock Conclave. So
yeah, and you've heard it first there. 2 units of Scat Pack are a token gesture, apparently. So we'll see how token they are when they're smashing me in the face first turn. And then, as Lawrence said at the beginning, he has got the Crimson Death formation as well, which, as most of you know, is pretty horrendous as well. So yeah, it's going to be quite a task. As I said, this is a scouring. I've got a lot of fast attack choices, which is going to be quite painful, and small model count. I have the advantage at the moment that I am going first, which might be my saviour, but Lawrence has rolled on his Warlord trait to get a +1 to seize, which is not going to be too helpful for me. So well, let's hope the dice gods are in my favour, but I fear the worst being here at Tabletop Tactics. As many of you will know, Lawrence is notoriously good with his seizing, so we'll come back after that. But yeah, all to play for. This is going to be an exciting one, guys. Right, guys, so bottom of Tau turn 1, and I'm quite happy. I'm going to say, I'm feeling, if you could see me right now, it'd be quite a happy little smile, because I'm not going to lie, I was petrified at the start of this game, and I'm still slightly scared, but yeah, it's not been too bad. So basically, Lawrence, even though I thought it was happening, I kind of, in my mind, I was almost prepared for it, and it would have been night Tau, but he didn't manage to seize even on a 5+. So I came forward, basically very aggressive in my standard style. It's just balls to the wall, try and just go for it. So the Wyvara did their full jump upwards, just to try and get as close to the Wraith Knight as they possibly could. The crew ran out to bubble wrap the Storm Surges, who also advanced forward. Little tactical error on my behalf. I really should have spread the, well, put them either one side or the other with the unit of Storm Surges, because I did block line of sight a little bit, which caused a little bit of trouble later on in the turn. But they came forward. The Markalites all pretty much stayed more or less where they were. They could all draw a line of sight where they needed to. The dice rolls that I got, I needed to hold objective 1 either in either side of the board, and objective number 3, which is just down there for me. So the only thing really I could do was try and get the commander in range in my assault turn, and then obviously try and make sure I had something stable sitting on that objective. Shooting turn happened, and we did what we needed to. The Wyvaras really rolled pretty hot, which helped a lot. But more than that, we had a hideous amount of Markalites on the Wraith Knight, 12 in the end. So all the missiles from the Storm Surges were turned into destroyer hits. Ridiculous 7 ballistic skill. It was never really going to be a factor, but I had to use them all. If he'd survived, it would have been game over, and all that first turn would have been to waste. So we used them all up. Might have been an error, but I had to take that chance. So took him out. He went down. Rolled 2 6s, in fact, on the destroyer hits. So even in this format, he wasn't going to last that. Other than that, there was a few shots from the other systems that went over. All we could see really was scat packs. So we did some work, took out 2 from one unit, 2 from another unit, and 1 from another unit. So reduced them down. They all passed all their leadership tests, so no issues there. Assault move came. The Wyvara on the left got quite a good jump. He got 8. He's just jumping down just to make him think about it on that objective. Just to kind of just be a bit aggressive. It does mean that he will reduce his save to a 5-up and a 4-up if they get close enough, rather than the 4-up on the top. But you know, it's I'm just always going to be aggressive with these guys. It's the only way they work. and this guy got a very small move, so he is staying put, no point in moving him. But more importantly, unfortunately, needed an 8, but actually when we measured it up, just short of that objective with this jump move, so I will fail to score that objective. Lawrence needs to kill a unit. Easily achievable, I would say, with the sheer volume of shooting that he's still got in his army. He also needs to hold objective 1. Objective 1. So again, very achievable, just with lots of objects secure and massive movement. So we should have a lot to play for going forward into the end of this turn. But we'll come back after the end of Eldar turn 1. Okay, so end of Eldar turn 1, a pretty good turn. I think I might have just about got off lightly in occasions, but probably about even on the whole. So it almost too much movement to really keep track of, but as you can imagine, tons of Eldar trickery, scat back going all over the place. They obviously are in their final position now, but they pretty much all got in very aggressive positions. Majority of them focusing either on the Storm Surges or the Wavara battlesuit that was sitting on that objective. In the psychic phase, there was some presciences gone off on the 2 Hornets, and then Misfortune on the Storm Surge unit. Yep, guys, you've heard it again. Misfortune being used in devastating style against my Tau. So yeah, so that went in, all successful, couldn't get any denies on it. Shooting phase started off by ripping apart parts of the Storm Surge, knocking him right down to 2 wounds, and picking up a couple of Maelstrom points in the process. And then the pressure came on the Wavara. The Hornets just proving too potent, particularly with prescience, even though it wasn't really needed, and the Wavara went down, unfortunately. So that was a bit of a blow. There was a final bit of Eldar trickery, as you'd expect, a bit of a master plan by Lawrence, almost executed to perfection. The Hornet used its flat out move to get up close and making sure that the damaged Storm Surge was the closest unit. Due to its special rules, it can then snap fire. Yes, Elder Cheese, we surprise, surprise. And then it unloaded. It was prescienced, so it stood a chance. He needed a couple of 6s at least, and then hoped that I rolled badly. Got 1 through, but then rolled a 1 to wound, so no damage done there. And obviously that Hornet has given its soul for the move. But it was a bold move. If that if the Storm Surge had gone down, that would have seriously turned the tide. Taking that into account, some points have been racked up. Both the 2 Maelstrom objectives needed from Lawrence were achieved. He scored the hold objective 1, which is down in that corner there, and then he also killed a unit by killing the Wavara. So he claimed both of them. He also got 2 additional points for the Maelstrom for killing, well, not killing, but for reducing significantly the Storm Surge by 6 wounds, and also 1 point towards the primary by taking out a fast attack as well. So some serious damage done to this Tau army. One little drone taken out, but I passed my leadership test. Lots of shenanigans in the jumping around phase at the end of the assault, just to try and hide as much as possible. Still in a very strong position. We need to take into account that horrible Crimson Death will come in, most certainly, expected on the turn 2 for Eldar. But, you know, all in all, I'll take it as we go into Tau turn 2. Okay, so bottom of Tau turn 2, I drew kill something and take this objective over here. So in the movement phase, we pretty much adjusted to make sure that we would make short work of the Hornet. The Storm Surge is shuffled to keep the undamaged one at the front and try and draw some line of sight. This landing pad is actually becoming a bit of a bane, because it would really open up if I didn't have that line of sight blocking. But, you know, it's one of those things, got to play to it. So they've shuffled to the side to give them a line of sight down on what's going on this side of the board. Marker lights, as far as the drones, pretty much stayed where they were. I shuffled this one out a little bit, and obviously the Warlord and his unit kind of moved a little bit closer towards that objective. The crew shuffled either side. They don't need to do their bubble wrapping. Now the Wraith Knight is down and out. So shooting phase, all the marker lights went into the Hornet. There was nothing else to go for, so we put a ridiculous amount of marker lights into that, and then the Wyvara didn't really need any of them, but we did boost his ballistic skill and take away cover just to make damn sure, and took him out. I did roll double 1 on my flamer for the gets hot, but made the saves, so not so great there, but still doing the job that it needed to. The rest of the shooting, again, quite restricted to what I could shoot at, but the Strength 10 Large Blast went onto single scat bike that was on its own, and Lawrence didn't manage to make its save, so cover saves, so it went down.
Which, incidentally, mate, I did forget to do a leadership check. Sorry to interrupt you.
No worries, go for it.
Should we just do this on film now?
Go for it.
So that magic ease.
Ah, that's not the magic I was looking for, Lawrence. Going to try that again. Can we cut that again for a fail? So then the multi missiles went in on the full strength scatter pack that was at the back. And actually, I didn't roll particularly hot with my hits, but still, Lawrence rolled like a boss and kept one alive. So that's a nuisance, because every scatter bike with its objective secure is not to be taken for granted. They have a massive strength just in that alone. So even though the strength is reduced, the potency, just their ability to be a nuisance, is still well and truly alive and kicking. The Wyvara in the assault phase jumped down to make sure that I was going to try and make it as hard as possible to deal with that objective, and then the commander pretty much then jumped to make sure that it was in range of that objective. These guys tried to get around the back of that bastion, but didn't get as many as I wanted, and that was more or less it. Lawrence has just rolled for his Crimson Death formation. He would have only had one in, but due to the re-roll, he has managed to get all of them in. So that should be interesting. It's going to be a very big change in the play now. We'll see whether the Storm Surges can tick another box by taking them pesky little flyers out. But we will see as we go into Eldar turn 2. Okay, so end of Eldar turn 2. I did get off a little bit lightly, to be fair.
Lucky.
There's no lucky. Well, yeah, I did get extremely lucky. But, you know, to be fair, Lawrence played really, really well. Did all the right things to make sure that I had to be lucky to survive. So in come the Crimson Death, and he just managed to kind of skirt them along the side. Scared old Eldar as always, just to make sure that he wasn't going to take the full amount of interceptor. So he was out of range of drones, so I couldn't try and boost any ballistic skill. He was also out of range of everything bar one of the sets of 4d6. So that was quite crafty and well played. So I decided to obviously go for the X-Arch. That was the only way to go. So making him jink, didn't do any damage, but kind of muted his ability to a degree. So movement wise, again, it's really hard to keep track of, but basically Eldar jet bikes going everywhere, more or less. These ones, again, very crafty play. So the Eldar jet bikes came along with the Hornet, just sort of did a bit of sniping work. So again, real expert tournament play. Used the window to basically avoid having to aim at the damage, at the full strength Storm Surge, making sure that all the damage was going to go on the already wounded one, which was smart play. The Wyvara, so the Warlocks and the Farseer, kind of just went ahead of the Wyvara, just able to lend their shooting as well as their psychic powers. Psychic shenanigans kind of happened, so again didn't really do too well. Still haven't managed to get rid of anything. So Misfortune went on both the Storm Surge and on the White-Eyed, and then again Prescience was put on the Hornet as well as on the X-Arch. Again, another smart move, snap firing but giving himself a better chance to do some damage. Shooting then happened, lots of unloading. The Wyvara I rolled absolutely like a boss, did awesomely well, managed to survive with 2 wounds on the Wyvara, so he only went down half strength, which was pretty lucky because statistically really he should have gone down, so he held in there, which was good. Also the luck was with me, so again all the shooting went through on the Storm Surge. 1 wound remaining, so managed to hang on in there. I had 2 wounds at the beginning, so managed to just hang in there, so I have at least another turn of shooting. Yes, I have lost one of the sets of shooting from one of the Storm Surges, but we can still do some damage before I at least lose 1. As far as Maelstrom points this turn, obviously I had to kill something. I did. It was a fast attack, so that's 1 towards my primary. I've also grabbed my objective. Lawrence has used his Eldar crafty play. After assaulting the White-Eyed to tie him up, he sacrificed one of his jet bikes to make sure he hit that Overwatch, and then the other crafty jet bike hid around the back to make sure that he claimed that objective, secured objective. In the combat, obviously, I should have said, I did actually do some damage, but he made the save. Really, I did give him well. I didn't really take any damage, and I potentially should have taken maybe a wound. But we're locked in there. I failed my hit and run, which is unlike me. Normally I make them. So it's a decision to make whether I decide to escape move him or whether we just hold in there and see whether we can potentially do some damage. That's a difficult one. We'll have to wait and see what I decide on that. But as it stands, you know, Eldar are leading overall. It's going to be a dangerous turn for me this time. I need to do something, and I need to do something quick, because I don't want that sort of amount of damage going on me next turn, potentially with more with the X-Arch. So I'm not feeling great at the moment, I've got to say. I think the game could be slipping away, but you know, I think there's a lot to play for, and I can still put the hurt on this turn with a lucky turn. Okay, so end of Tau turn 3. Not the greatest turn. I needed a kill, so I needed to kill 2 units. Managed to kill 1, but you know, anyway. So we moved up. Everything kind of moved up. I'm just trying to get the Storm Surges in more aggressive positions, make sure everything's in range. Just kind of hammer it home, try and use their aggressive ability to put the pressure on. So they moved up, again making sure that the damaged one's at the back, even though that's proving difficult, even with that tactic. So we moved them up. Again, everything else kind of moved around, trying to keep things safe, but at the same time getting good positions. Shooting phase, we managed to get some marker lights on that lone scatter bike that was over the far side of the landing pad, and then I was within range of the 10-inch, so I could do the D from the first Storm Surge. So just got rid of him, used obviously the marker lights to make sure it stung, got rid of that, and that was pretty much the end of shooting. I put the large blast onto the Hornet at the back, but I failed to do anything. I got a glance, but then Lawrence made his save. So you know, really uneventful. I used all the missiles, obviously, in intercept. The other guy is actually blocked. There's nothing really I could have done about that, because the landing pad meant I had to go to one side to try and get in a position. I used the smart missiles again. Couldn't do any damage. I went for the Hornet because I just thought we'd just try and kill off the unit rather than make one of the Crimson Death Jink. I just thought the death of the Hornet would be better. So, but couldn't do anything. Even with the Ignores cover, just couldn't make anything hit home. So yeah, a bit of a disaster really. Combat, again, the kind of story went on. Even though really Eldar can't fight, they are managing to wound me on 2s. I am misfortunate. They didn't roll too hot. I had 2 saves to make, and I rolled a 1. And I couldn't make my Fun of Pain. So he actually went down to 1 wound. So the Wyvara is just on the 1 wound, which is again not great. I did hit back, took 2 wounds. Lawrence made 1 save, so we drew combat. I've elected to decide to stay in combat. It's the best thing to do at the moment, and just see whether I can potentially weather the storm and get him out of combat next turn. It's going to be a really tough turn. This will be pretty much make or break. If I have another lucky turn like I did last time, potentially it's still on. Lawrence should see it off this turn. He should do enough damage to see me off out of chance, but we never know. My luck might carry on, so we'll see at the end of turn 3 for the Eldar. Okay. Okay, so end of turn 3 for Eldar. After a disappointing turn for the Tau last turn, Eldar have capitalised, as I kind of expected they would. It's been a good turn for them. Whereas last turn I got off quite lucky, this turn potentially I was a little bit unlucky, but I suppose odds were against me. So all the Crimson Death pretty much ascended on the Storm Surges. It was always going to be the target, 1 wound left. They had to make that priority. So they all came around that way. Again, the same sort of shenanigans that have happened all game, and rightfully so. The Scat Pack just kind of all jinking around just to get themselves in the best positions to cause maximum damage, but also staying close to where cover is. And obviously at the beginning of the turn, the Wyvara was in combat. The surviving Hornet moved up into a good position to try and add insult to injury. In this psychic phase, same thing again, very, very repetitive around, just very consistent with the psychic powers, prescience on units that need to be prescienced, and then again misfortune on this time on the Storm Surge. So then in came the shooting. The Crimson Death just about managing to take out the remainder of the last wound off the Storm Surge, and one going over to its friend as well, and another wound also off that from further shooting from the Hornet. So the other guys pretty much focused on trying to deal with the Warlord. Now a lot of the danger is out of the way, so all the drones from the commander's unit were shred, and then a couple of wounds on the commander that then broke and was running for the hills. Hopefully we'll re-rally, but on her own now. A couple of Kroot go down, not enough to cause any trouble there, but they are down. And that is more or less it. Yeah, I think one of the other drone units also went down as well. So yeah, some damage doing. The primary mission points are racking up quickly for Eldar. Maelstrom, it's very close. It's 7-6 to Eldar at the moment. The game is pretty much lost. I don't think there's any way I can come back. I will try and have a bit of a stellar turn this turn. As you know, I can turn things around, have done it in the past. I've got some aces up my sleeve. I've got some ideas what I need to do, but I'd say it's a losing battle now. But we will give as good as we can get, and we'll try and cause some massive hurt on this big lump of cheese as we go into Tau turn 4. So end of Tau turn 4, it was a quick turn. I did pretty much all I could, just tried to play it as smart as possible. We were within range of pretty much everything that we needed to be. So movement wise, Kroot stayed where they were. They just wanted to make sure that they could try and do some damage to one of the Crimson Hunters. The Warlord did regroup and then was joined by the Marker Lights, just one to keep that ability there, but also a bit of extra support, some wounds there. The Kroot moved up to try and get in range, cause some trouble, both to hold on to that objective as much as possible, but also just to kind of put some danger in. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. Obviously the Storm Surge was routed. In the shooting phase, all the Marker Lights divvied themselves up between two of the Crimson Hunters and then into the Hornet. So I put one on each. Not quite. I would like to have got more on the Hornet. I think that would have made a big difference. Then in the shooting phase, the Kroot took 1 hull point off that Crimson Hunter, which I'm pretty pleased with. The really good thing was the being in 10 inches of the Crimson Hunter over here. The Storm Surge made short work of that, D'd it out of the sky, used its marker light to make it hit a little bit more reliable, and I rolled a 6, so absolutely blew that thing sky high. And then all the rest of the shooting, we used the large blast from the air fragmentation onto the guys at the back. It didn't do anything there. And then the multi-cluster missiles went onto the Hornet, and then I tried to do some damage with the smart missiles on the other Crimson Hunter, just because it avoids cover, and I took 1 wound off that, so of 1 hull point off that. So I've done, you know, I've pretty spread things around. I tried to play it clever, because potentially, if things went well and I got really lucky, there could have been 3 units dead. That would have been a massive difference. So I'm just playing the percentages, trying to, you know, just see if I get lucky, because you never know. This is a dice game we play, guys, and if it happens to turn for you, it could have turned massively. The bit of success over here, Kroot hosed down the jet bikes, as you'd expect, and kind of set on there. Nothing happened in the assault phase, as pretty much standard. And this should now be a mop-up turn. I had kill, didn't really do what I needed to do. Managed to get one, but failed to get the second. And it will be into an Eldar turn 4. You need to also kill and hold an objective, which they should easily be able to do. So we're in the last knock-ins now. We'll see how we can hang on as we go into Eldar turn 4. Right guys, end of turn 4 for the Eldar, and I'm afraid we are deep in trouble, guys. Deep. So again, a really strong turn for Eldar. Everything's kind of going right, but he has got numbers, and that always proves for a lot. Still some smart moves, lots of shimmying around. So these guys, after obviously losing their kin to the Kroot, sort of homed in. Obviously that was their primary target. Everything else, again, trying to focus in to make sure they make short work of the Storm Surge, who was already starting to feel the pain. So Psychic Phase, again, no surprise, lots of prescience, and again the poor Storm Surge gets misfortuned yet again. Shooting, a lot of shooting on the Storm Surge, did knock him down in the end to a lonely 2 wounds. And then to kind of add insult to injury, the little mini Seer Council then charges in. Obviously my anchors are in, so no stomping this turn. Obviously next turn I will stomp the hell out of them with a bit of luck. Even if that's the last thing I do, I'm going to put my foot through these guys that keep misfortune in me. Well, that's the plan anyway. But other than that, obviously the Kroot went down as well, and they were shot, they did run, and they were chased up and wiped out. So we are massively last knock-ins. We'll see where we are at the end of this last turn. Time restraints might mean this is my last turn, but I might have to call it. I never like calling it, so we'll see how we get on as we go into Tau turn 5. Okay, so end of turn 5 for the Tau. Actually, really pleased with the turn. You know, it is actually, you know, it's the last knock-ins now. There was very little I can do. There was one sort of thing that didn't go 100%, but you know. So basically, movement-wise, not a lot to move really. Everything pretty much stayed where it was. Kroot were ready where they needed to be. The drones sort of shimmied a little bit to make sure we had good sight on the Crimson Hunters. So unloaded on the Crimson Hunters. Got quite a few 6s, in fact, enough 6s, in fact, to make the Kroot seriously buffed up. I keep telling Lawrence they're my best men, but he keeps ignoring me. He will learn at his peril. Anyway, so then we went into the shooting phase, and those Kroot unloaded their rapid fire Kroot, absolute fast shot, supreme shooting guns at the Crimson Hunter. The Crimson Hunter just could not make enough staves to stay in the sky. He crashed and burned. So that's right, Kroot took down a Crimson Hunter. Yep, remember that, guys. You heard it here first. I'm taking every victory where I can. And then on to Assault. So now the Storm Surge heals were up, and it was time to tap dance. So I didn't take any wounds, and then when I struck back, I actually managed to take a wound with a smash. I rolled 3 stomps, but didn't get that crucial 6 I needed to clean the unit up. And actually, you know, end of the day, that was pretty much the final nail in the coffin. We will play out this last turn because I'd like to stomp the hell out of that Farseer if I do anything else. But this will be the last turn of the game as I see what I can do as we go into the Eldar turn 5. Right guys, so the dust is starting to settle. There is very little Tau presence left on this battlefield. We have just rolled off. The game has finished. Rolled a 1. To be honest, time's starting to beat me anyway, so this probably was going to end, to be fair, but it's nice that it ended with the end of the game rolled, because I hate ever throwing the towel in. So I'm not even going to go over objectives completely because it's pretty clear that both the primary and the secondary has been run away with by this Eldar presence. it very much is a case that quite often, you know, it does start to swing heavily once one army gets the better, and with Eldar in particular, they are so manoeuvrable. You know, if you can't pin them down, they're all over the place. So that was always kind of going to be the case. So yeah, absolutely epic game. Loved my list still not 100% sure of it. But this Eldar list, wow, it is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I still like to play it again. I still think I know how to beat it. I think that times I got unlucky. This Sky Shield landing plane was the bane of my life. Could not move around it, could not get a good line of sight. It's just the right height to block storm surges. I feel foul plays in. Anyway, but before I go, I just want to make sure, I'm sure you know the force that is Tabletop Tactics, but if you haven't, you want to go over and check the guys out. I mean, Lawrence does a phenomenal job. It is, as I said in my pre-show video, it is by far one of the best battle report channels available to anybody at the moment, so check it out. Some awesome content, and definitely go over there at some point and check out my Tau on the channel. I will be back for Revenge, no doubt, but do check it out. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll roll on to my next game on the road to the Las Vegas Open 2016. Thanks for watching.